people. Welcome to Teens Timeout on Atlantic Television Network. On Teens Timeout, our job is to cater for toddlers, teenagers, and adolescents with the aim of informing, educating, and motivating the younger generation for personal and societal development. Today's show is segmented into four. The first segment is story time. I mean, everyone loves a good story, and that's why I'm here to give you one. The second segment is Teens Conversation. In this segment, we get to discuss life as a teenager and other interesting topics. The third segment is Rep My Culture. In this segment, we find out the amazing cultural values and beliefs from different cultures around the world. And the final segment is Morals. In this segment, we learn a new value or principle that could help us live better lives and become better people. But right now, we'll be going on a short break. And when we come back, we'll be diving right into the first segment on story time. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, I am Valentina Lawrence, and this is Teens Time Out on Atlantic Television Network. Now for this first segment on Story Time, I will be taking you on a little imaginary journey in this story. The title of our story for today is The Elves and the Shoemaker. Once upon a time, there lived a kind shoemaker who was very, very poor. He was an honest and hard-working man, but he had gone through hard times. His time was very difficult to the extent that he could no longer afford his life. All that was left in his workshop was a scrap of leather, just enough to make a pair of shoes. At sunset, he carefully cut the last piece of his fine leather and placed it on his desk to finish his work the next day. He closed the door of his workshop, sighed, and returned home to be with his wife. The shoemaker sadly said to his wife, "Hold my hand, honey. Let us hope that our luck will change and we will get the great reward we deserve for the many years we have worked." His wife stretched out her hands gently, placed them in her husband's hands, and they wished together from the bottom of their hearts. The shoemaker woke up early the next morning. As usual, he ate breakfast, brushed his teeth, and said goodbye to his wife and went to the workshop. He expected to find the leather he had carefully cut last night to make beautiful shoes on his desk, but he did not find the leather at all. To his surprise, he found on the work table a pair of the best shoes he has ever seen until that day, perfectly stitched and shining like diamonds. The shoemaker was completely stunned and froze right there. He thought to himself, "I can't believe this." Suddenly, there was a loud noise and the workshop door opened. A well-dressed man entered and said, "Good morning, kind man. I was passing by and that very beautiful pair of shoes on the card table caught my attention. Can I try them, please?" Shoemaker said, "Of course not. Why not? Here you are." The man knelt down and tried on the shoes. "As I thought, they fit perfectly. I will definitely buy these." What happened next shocked the shoemaker. The man asked the shoemaker the price of the shoes. The shoemaker told the handsome man the price of the shoes. The customer screamed, "It is unbelievable!" The shoemaker looked disappointed. The customer continued, "I mean, it is quite obvious that these shoes are very high quality. I will definitely pay you twice this price." The shoemaker sincerely thanked the man for his generosity. The man smiled, took off his hat, and walked out the door in his new, very shiny shoes. The shoemaker went out and bought more leather with the money he earned from selling shoes. This time, he had so much leather that he could make 2 pairs of shoes. At sunset, he carefully cut 2 pieces of fine leather and placed them on his desk to finish the work the next day. The next morning, surprisingly, the same thing happened again. But this time, there was not a pair of shoes on the shoemaker's desk, but there were 2. And as before, the quality of the work was so great that 2 well-dressed men entered his workshop and bought the shoes at a much higher price than the shoemaker had imagined. This story continued every day. With the money he earns in the morning, the shoemaker buys enough leather to make twice as many shoes for tomorrow as today. And every morning, the shoes will be perfectly prepared and waxed on his desk, ready to be sold. 4 pairs, 8 pairs, 16 pairs, 32 pairs. This story continued for weeks until the shoemaker sold thousands of pairs of shoes every day, each one more beautiful and classy than the last. The shoemaker and his wife were no longer poor. In fact, they became quite rich selling all these shoes. One night, the shoemaker turned to his wife and said, "My dear wife, I feel blessed by our recent amazing fortune, and I am eager to know the secret behind the magical making of these beautiful shoes. In this way, we can properly thank the person who sewed these shoes." His wife replied, "How about staying up tonight?" The shoemaker accepted. That night, when the clock showed 12 o'clock, each of them lit a candle, quietly went to the workshop, and sneakily looked inside the workshop through the window. What they saw was really magical and made their mouths open in surprise. An army of beautiful elves filled the workshop. Each elf was no more than 12 centimeters tall and was sitting on a small wooden chair and working diligently. Each elf was sewing a shoe. They were sewing and hammering and sewing at such a fast speed that it was hard to see their little arms. One of the elves was standing. He neither hammered nor sewed anything. Instead, he stood in front of the workshop, facing the other elves like an orchestra conductor. He was wearing a tall pink hat with a pointed tip, which had the words, "The Big Elf Boss." Suddenly, the candle slipped from the shoemaker's hands and landed on the stone floor with a loud noise. Hearing this voice, all the elves were scared. A moment passed, then the big elf called out, "Run away! Escape! Very quickly!" What happened was complete chaos. All the elves are running quickly here and there so that they can quickly escape from the workshop. The shoemaker shouted, "Please wait!" His wife said, "We're here to thank you for all your efforts and amazing love you have shown us. We want to show our appreciation by doing something kind." Hearing these words, the fear of the little elves disappeared, and they looked at the big box elf. The big genie went ahead and said, "We are hungry, and our clothes are torn and old. Would you be so kind as to feed us and change our clothes? If you do, we will forever be indebted to you." The shoemaker sat down on the ground until he was as tall as the chief elf. The shoemaker smiled at him and said softly, "Of course, Your Majesty, we will gladly give you all the food and clothes you want. And please forgive me, but I noticed that your legs are bare. I want to make a pair of excellent quality shoes for each of your crones. Do you accept this?" The big boss elf smiled and answered, "Sure, this is awesome." From that day on, the elves, the shoemaker, and his wife became each other's best friends. They worked hard and lived a happy, prosperous, and perfect life together. The end. That was an amazing story time, and I hope you had so much fun listening to that story in this first segment. But we'll be going on a short break, and when we come back, we'll be diving right into the second segment on Teens Conversations, so stay tuned. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, I am Valentina Lawrence, and this is Teens Timeout on Atlantic Television Network. Now, for this second segment on Teens Conversation, we will be talking about puberty. First of all, what is puberty? Puberty is a process that usually happens between ages 10 and 14 for girls and ages 12 and 16 for boys. It causes physical changes and affects boys and girls differently. In girls, the first sign of puberty is usually breast development. Then, hair grows in the pubic areas and armpits. Menstruation, or what we also call period, usually comes last. In boys, puberty usually begins with the testicles and the male genitals getting bigger. Then hair grows in the pubic area and armpits. Muscles begin to grow, voice begin to deepen, and facial hairs develop as puberty continues. Both boys and girls may get acne. They usually have a growth spurt, get taller, a rapid increase in height that can last for about 2 or 3 years. This brings them closer to their adult height, which they reach after puberty. Puberty is the process of physical maturation where an adolescent reaches sexual maturity and becomes capable of reproduction. Puberty is associated with emotional and hormonal changes, as well as physical changes such as breast development in females, pubic hair development, genital changes in male, voice changes, and increase in height, and the onset of menstruation. Puberty proceeds through 5 stages termed the Stana stages, ranging from prepubertal to full maturity. Puberty also coincides with a child's psychosocial development. Children who may be early or behind in attaining puberty milestones when compared to their peers are at much higher risk of emotional distress and low self-esteem. The ability to monitor the progression of puberty in the pediatric population is very vital, as it is essential to their reproductive development, and because of the many physical and psychological risks children face during this time in their development. So we can ask, what causes puberty? Puberty's trigger lies in a small part of the brain called the hypothalamus, a gland that secretes gonadotropin-releasing hormone, what we can call GnRH. Gonadotropin-releasing hormones stimulates the pituitary gland, a pea-sized organ connected to the bottom of the hypothalamus, to emit 2 hormones, luteinizing hormone, LH, and follicle-stimulating hormone, FSH. These 2 hormones signal the female and the male sex organs, the ovaries and the testes respectively, to begin releasing the appropriate sex hormones, including estrogen and testosterone, which launch the other signs of puberty in the body. There are 3 types of puberty. We have the normal puberty, which we just talked about. Then we have precocious puberty and delayed puberty. What is a precocious puberty? The precocious puberty is further broken down into 2, the central precocious puberty and the peripheral precocious puberty. The central precocious puberty is a type of early puberty, also known as gonadotropin-dependent precocious puberty. This occurs when the abnormality is located in the brain. The brain signals the pituitary gland to begin puberty at an early age. Central precocious puberty is the most common form of precocious puberty and affects many more girls than it does to boys. The causes of central precocious puberty include brain tumors, poor radiation to the brain, prior infection of the brain, other brain abnormalities. On the other hand, the peripheral precocious puberty is a form of early puberty, also called gonadotrophin-independent precocious puberty. In peripheral precocious puberty, the abnormality is not in the brain, but is in the testicles or ovaries or adrenal glands, causing overproduction of sex hormones like testosterone and estrogens. Peripheral precocious puberty may be caused by tumors of the ovary, testes, or adrenal gland. In boys, tumors that secrete a hormone called human chorionic gonadotrophin, HGC, certain rare genetic syndromes such as McCune-Albright syndrome or familial male precocious puberty. Severe hypothyroidism, in which the thyroid gland secretes abnormally low levels of hormones. Disorders of the adrenal gland, such as congenital adrenal hyperplasia. Exposure of the child to medicines or creams that contain estrogens or androgens. The third type of puberty is called delayed puberty. Many children with delayed puberty will eventually go through an otherwise normal puberty, just as a late age. Sometimes, this delay occurs because the child is just maturing more slowly than average, a condition called constitutional delay of puberty. This condition often runs in families. Puberty can be delayed in children who have not gotten proper nutrition due to long-term illnesses. Also, some young girls who undergo intense physical training for a sport, such as running or gymnastics, start puberty later than normal. In other cases, the delay in puberty is not just due to slow maturation, but also occurred because the child has long-term medical condition known as hypogonadism, in which the sex gland, which the testes in men and the ovaries in women, produce very few or no hormones at all. Well, I hope you learned a lot in this second segment because I definitely got some eye-opening knowledge. But right now, we'll be going on a short break, and when we come back, we'll be going right into the third segment on Rep My Culture. Stay tuned. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, I am Valentina Lawrence, and this is Teens Timeout on Atlantic Television Network. Now on to the third segment of our show on Rep My Culture. Today we're going to be talking about the Edo culture. You might ask, who are the Edo people? The Edo people are descended from the Benin Empire's founders and speak the Edo language. Other ethnic groups that speak Edoid languages, such as the Isan, the Afemai, the Isoko, and the Urhobo, are closely connected to them. The Edo State Territory is located west of the Niger River, and its area stretches from steep terrain in the north to marshes in the Niger Delta. Benin City, the capital of the Benin Kingdom, which thrived from the 14th to the 17th century, is commonly referred to as Edo in everyday speech. The word Edo, which means beautiful people, was used to characterize Edo, the Benin Kingdom capital, and official royal administrative center. The mixed ethnicities residing in the center of Ubini later distorted the name to Bini, which was later corrupted to Benin around 1485, when the Portuguese started trading with the country and received coral beads from Oba Ewore. The Edo people reside in a condensed village community that can range in size from tiny hamlets to towns with thousands of inhabitants. In the 17th and 18th centuries, the Edo people were carved out of the Benin Kingdom to form their own territory and engage in cultural activities. This is why in the earliest centuries, when Edo became a state on its own, Benin City became the capital. The Edo people are situated in Nigeria's Edo state, which gained its name from the majority population of Benin City, the region's most famous historical hub and the Edo people's core capital homeland. The political and administrative limits of the Edo state cover a large number of similar groups in close proximity to the Edo people. The majority of these clans may trace their origins to Benin City, the ancient capital of the Benin people. Several Afemai subgroups, the Isan people of Edo State and the Akoko Edo people who live on the state's northern boundaries, are examples of such nearby groups. The Midwestern region of Nigeria, commonly known as the Old Bendel State, was a part of early post-colonial Nigeria before becoming the Edo State. The Edo, Urobo, Isan, and other people with ties to the Edo can be seen in this region's impact and culture. Now we'll talk about the structure of the Edo traditional system. The political and administrative limits of the Edo state cover a large number of similar groups in close proximity to the Edo people. The majority of these clans may trace their origin to Benin City, the ancient capital of the Benin people. Therefore, the foundation of political life in Edo is the village. Each hamlet has 3 age groups for the male population: early adolescent boys who enroll in junior grade work on group projects like mowing lawns and maintaining public facilities. The older age group of adult males perform executive duties for the village council while also performing more challenging chores like roofing dwellings. However, in the Edo clan, the council makes decisions regarding taxation, group work, religious holidays, interactions with the government, and other issues that affect the local area. Furthermore, the non-hereditary village headman, who also acts as the priest of ancestors and earth spirits, is often the village's oldest male resident. Formerly, the political, economic, and ceremonial head of state was a sacred king known as the Oba, whose succession is based on primogeniture. Now we'll talk about Edo trades. The Edo people are known for subsistence farming. The Edo people reside in condensed village communities that can range in size from tiny hamlets to towns with thousands of inhabitants. They eat yams as their main source of food, with vegetables including cassava, plantains, and corns, what we also call maize, as side dishes. However, the Edo people also rear livestock. Thus, we have goats, sheep, dogs, and birds. They are all considered livestock and are mostly utilized as sacrificed animals. Traditional crafts include weaving ceremonial cloth, casting brass, carving wood, and working with leather. Now let's talk about the Edo religion. Many Edo are either Muslims or Christians. Traditional religion involves the worship of a distant creator, minor gods, either legendary or fictitious local heroes, and ghosts of the deceased. In addition to the physical world, the traditional religion of Edo asserts the existence of an invisible realm populated by supernatural entities who serve as a spokesman for the physical world. In their individual shrines, gifts are presented to them. However, the supreme god and creator is known as Osanubua. Olokun, his son or daughter, rules over all bodies of water and is in charge of ensuring the well-being and procreation of his or her human adherents. The god of metal workers, Ogun, is one of Ogun's other sons. Now we'll talk about the sculptures and arts of Edo State. Sculptures, plaques, and masks that are easily recognized represent various spiritual and historical facets of traditional Edo culture. The Queen Mother Idia's mask and the enormous collection of ancient Edo artworks known as the Benin bronzes, which which can be found not only in Nigeria but also all over the world, are two of the most well-known examples of Edo art. We'll talk about the Edo dressing. It is no longer news that when you see an Edo man or an Edo woman, you will recognize him or her from the dress and the accessories they put on. This is because the Edo people of culture have a unique way of dressing. One of the most distinctive dress traditions on the African continent belongs to the Edo people. They frequently wear red beads, bangles, anklets, raffia work, and other accessories. Now let's talk about Edo food. In terms of cuisine, Edo is comparable to the intersection of Nigerian cuisine. Due to its location, it serves as a meeting place for the cuisines of the Yoruba in the west and the Igbo in the east and the Hausa in the north. Some of the soups of the Edo people include omisagwe, which they call groundnut soup, which can be eaten with foods like eba, fufu, pounded yam, cornmeal and white rice, black soup, which is made from various blended herbs and vegetables such as bitter leaf, cassava leaf, scent leaf, and plantain leaf, omi upoka, also known as corn soup, which is made from blended dry corn and local herbs, palm oil or pepper jollof rice that does not require any ingredients, bini owo soup, which is known as the oldest and the most eaten soup in Edo State. That is a lot of food that I would love to try. But what about you? What do you know about your culture? Well, I hope you had so much fun in this third segment. And if you don't know much about your culture, you can do also ask your parents about it so you can be briefed and you can have an idea of your culture. But right now, we'll be going on a short break. And when we come back, we'll dive right into the final segment of the show on morals. Stay tuned. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, I am Valentina Lawrence, and this is Teens Timeout on Atlantic Television Network. Now, for this final segment on morals, we will be talking about respect. Do you have respect? Well, what are moral values? Moral values are defined as guidelines that assist a person in deciding between right and wrong in order to create honest, credible, and fair judgments in relationships in daily life. The awareness of one's morals along with self-awareness is crucial. The development of moral values is a necessary process that should begin in childhood. Moral values in children can set them on the right path, helping them form a pleasant personality combined with a strong character. Besides the child's family, schools are critical in guiding, supporting, and holding their hands as they navigate the landscape of moral values. From an early age, it is important to inculcate good moral values and an upright moral compass in every child or student. Encouraging good behavior and knowing how to tell right from wrong is something we owe to our children. We believe that that's the key to making the world and the society we live in a better place. One moral value we'll be talking about today is respect. Now, what is respect? Dictionary definition says, respect is the feeling of deeper admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. Respect is a vital moral value that children have to learn about early on. A young child must listen. A young child must learn to respect all people regardless of their age, religion, nationality, beliefs, or even their point of view. You can set an example for your child by speaking respectfully towards others. Show your child you respect everyone regardless of their age, their race, their religion, or their status. Another thing children must realize is that many people stomp on others to get ahead in life, are extremely competitive and sometimes unforgiving society. That is precisely why every student must be taught from a young age to respect religion, race, culture, and lifestyle of different people. Why is respect important? Receiving respect from others is important because it helps us to feel safe and to be able to express ourselves. Being respected by important people in our lives growing up teaches us how to be respectful towards others. Respect means that you accept somebody for who they are, even when they are different from you or you don't agree with them. Respect in your friendships build feelings of trust, feelings of safety, feelings of well-being. Respect doesn't have to come naturally. It is something you can learn. Remember that you're valued and that you matter. What you think and what you feel is just as important as what somebody else thinks, what somebody else feels. Ending a friendship that isn't respectful is a way of respecting yourself. So it is essential that children learn that their success in life should not be based on the failures of others. I hope you had so much fun in this segment, and I hope that you respect somebody out there. If you do not, take a look and reflect on your character. What are the areas you haven't been respectful towards your friends, your family members, your loved ones? If you know you haven't been showing respect to these people, you can learn how to be respectful. It is very important as you grow. And it is also important that we live and model the life that we want teenagers, children to also take up as they grow. I hope you had so much fun learning about morals and values and talking about respect. I hope you had so much fun in general on Teens Timeout today. But that is so much we can take on the show today. We're not going to be gone forever. See you on the next episode of Teens Timeout. Bye.